Good evening, citizens. My name is Ban Shattersong, captain of the Bloody Hand Mercenary Company. But that guy's still asleep. Today, you're going to be talking to Chris. Hello. And I also have with me a very special guest for today's show. The character's name is Ravadi from the Var. And, well, Becca, I'll let you introduce yourself now.
I'm Becca. OC. I'm a student, and I play Ravadi Founders Dance, a Thorn sort of researcher, Vallorn researcher, playing the bar. Has been described as a battle librarian. But yeah.
When you say battle librarian, is this like beating people over the head with a book? Or
I feel it sometimes it feels like that. It really does. I have I think at the last event it did sort of it did not quite come to being a metaphorical beating them over the head with a book. I think might turn physical at some point. You never know.
I've seen a few like Larp safe bricks and frying pans. I'm sure a book isn't beyond the realm of reality.
Seen some LARP safe books too there. I've seen LARP safe turnips. Those are great.
Yeah, have you seen the murder pies and the murder fruit?
Yeah, with the knives in.
Yeah. Yeah, I just oh, did you go to was it What's Your Game up in Gloucester?
I didn't know.
Says...
No, because it's Goblin Workshop that do those.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Some of them they go to some other LARPs that I go to, and I've seen them. I've seen some of their stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, when I first saw it, because not aware of knives and fruit, it's not not quite a daily occurrence. But I went in thinking, oh, that's cool, like a LARP safe carrot. Like I'll just tuck that in my pocket.
Yeah, the carrots.
Yeah, and then I took the top off it, and I was like, what the fuck? Just a blade. I'm like, give it to me, please. This is great. I got a pork pie for my brother, and he had no idea what it was. So this was for his birthday. He unwrapped it, and he's like, "Oh, Chris, it's a LARP safe pork pie. Like, why have you done this to me?" I was like, "Just pull out a slice," and he did. Knife, and he was like, "I get it. But that's mint.
That's so good.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me today. And for those of you listening in, the idea of today's episode is we haven't got a hots or nots or a particular event to dissect. What we have is a character to dissect, I suppose. Maybe dissect is not the right word. Interview. Skipping over the carrots and the blades. And just to briefly go over some of the questions I'm going to ask you, so you've got some a small amount of prep time. Basically, so Ban / myself. Ravadi and I have only interacted briefly at a few player events and at E1 this year, but I have heard a lot about you on the grapevine, on the Facebook vine, even just your name being mentioned around the field as well. So I thought, hello, we have an up and coming person of import. Let's grab them before they get too busy and too famous. And we're gonna.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go for it.
No, I was saying it just seems weird to when you hear your character being described like that. It's very, very wild. I don't know if I would describe him like that. No, but it's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's Do you feel like, I guess to paraphrase it, your character is famous? Does it feel that way for you?
No, it doesn't. No, it's not. See, I don't know where this idea came from about my character being famous. Because I certainly didn't hear about any of it at the event, and it is a bit wild to sort of, I don't know. I don't consider them too famous. They certainly don't consider them too famous. I think the only thing that I think one of their actions at the last event got around fairly quickly in the gossip chains.
The thing that we shall not mention.
I don't think.
Not.
We should. I think a lot. I think it's something a lot of people have heard about. Not necessarily about who, but also there's a lot of stuff being said about it that Ravadi just isn't that fussed about correcting, and it's just like, let's move on now, please. Let's just move on.
Has it hit the, I guess, the critical mass of any gossip in Anvil where the story has become blown out of proportion, wildly inaccurate?
Oh, it became blown out of proportion, and wildly inaccurate, basically instantly. I think the evening it happened, like an hour after, I had people come up to Ravadi and being like, "What are you doing, toilet jobber?"
Excuse me, citizen.
Sorry, what are you saying? What? And I was like, "Oh, really? Is that the story it's got around?" Oh, it's fine.
So you find out that Ravadi is being accused and also hailed as the hero of the hub after 54,000 whites were slain single-handedly, and at the same time 4 innocent Imperial citizens were crushed by falling portaloos, and also your fault, or something like that.
It's all my fault, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very silly. But that's how it's a lot. The story I found myself saying a lot is that it's a lot easier to tell that sort of story than to tell the truth, you know? Like, or to tell Ravadi's truth of the matter, right? It's a lot easier to tell the story of some Navari in the dark doing a toilet jobbing than it is to tell of the actual story. So, of course, that story is going to spread a lot faster than a different one.
Oh yeah, the legend will spread.
Oh, the legend, yes. Can't believe I fell right into the stereotype of my first event, though.
Oh, is this the what was the quote on the Discord? The crayon-faced murder monkeys.
Oh yeah. It's a phrase we try and not live up to, but it's a phrase that likes to get passed around.
Yeah, it's I guess, you know, almost any nation could be a crayon-faced murder monkey under certain circumstances, but
we're not the only nation that paints our face.
Yeah, I mean, not the only nation who kills people. Well, not kills, but gets in trouble. I mean, the Marchers seem to get in their fair share of dastardly plans around the Anvil field.
Yeah, true. They definitely do.
Yeah, I'd love to continue that list, but at least from what I've seen in play, it is always the Marchers. Every time someone has been extorted, intimidated, robbed, or otherwise, I'm like, was it Whitecap? Maybe. Was it from the Marchers? Almost certainly. And
you realize, like, this is incredibly ironic coming from 2 people, from us 2 out of everyone.
I don't know what you're talking about. Irony? Gosh, no idea.
It's not really how it works. We can't exactly judge people for it.
I feel like we've crossed both divides of the legal and perhaps illegal side of things, despite what, you know, I think. As far as I'm concerned, I am the protagonist and hero of Empire, but almost nobody agrees. We'll try and change that, but maybe to leave behind the Navari tropes for maybe later on in the episode. The key questions I wanted to ask you today was first around, and I guess not quite your origin or your backstory, but more about, like, you started playing player events before you actually came to a main Anvil event, and now you've had one of those under your belt. Now I was going to ask you, like, what's your opinion of having tried both sides, and then after that I wanted to cover, you know, what got you into Larp in the first place. That is, I guess, kind of the OG origin story, and then you also have some phenomenal costumes and some design work that you've done for some of your characters, and I believe you do commissions and the like now, so wanted to kind of praise you for that, and also see, you know, what inspires you, or what kind of, I guess, creative patterns you have to get that kind of work, because I'm jealous, basically. And then and then inevitably we'll go across some of the events where we've walked into each other, like QGit, Walk the Longest Path, and also, you know, maybe a few hots and nots from E1 as well. So maybe from that entirely random list, it's nothing particular for today, but all about you.
It's a bit of a weird one. Some people that know me, I fucking, like, hate being the center of attention. Fucking yeah. So it always makes me a bit weird. Sorry.
That's fine.
But in terms of like Ravadi, I think it's quite easy for someone to see Ravadi as just the E1 sort of person. Um, but like Jesus Christ, like my first player event, the difference is like night and day. As I think with every person's like first LARP character or first LARP experience, um, I basically went to my first. I think my first player event. It was at the iLARP site with Feast Your Eyes,
Mm.
and it was the way house at the crossroads to everywhere. One of their sort of just social hangouts, basically just 2 evenings events. And I went to that, and I was plain old Dornish Ravadi. I think first time in an Anvil first time in an Empire setting.
Uh-huh.
But also that obviously first time playing the character.
Mm.
And I think came into it with a very like I knew I wanted to move the character over to Navarre. I didn't know anything about the other nations. I knew I knew about Dawn and Navarre. In fact, I think the day before the event, I read back up on Dawn because I've been reading too much of Navarre.
That egregore change really get into your brain.
Yeah, and I basically sort of sat there and was like, right, okay, I'm gonna play Dawn as much as I can. I'll just play a standard Dawnish Yo-folk with like standard dreams of like wanting to become a noble, nothing too specific. And I think I had a favorite virtue, and I knew sort of a bit about the characters' motivations and why they were coming to Anvil.
Nice.
Like I think that's what like most people start with.
That's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
My personal one was my brother I mentioned previously. He said, "Hey Chris," because I used to work at Games Workshop. The exact quote was, "Hey Chris, you hang out with a bunch of nerds. I want to go LARPing. Can you go and ask if any of them go?" So I walk into work that day and I say, "Hey guys," I repeat the exact line, and then one of the guys turns around and goes, "Yeah, I'm going in 2 weeks. Do you want some tickets?" And that's how I got into LARPing. I turned up just not sure what to expect. Not dressed well, no character idea, hadn't read the wiki. I turned up and had a few drinks and a good time. So I think your approach much more professional, much more prepared.
Again, at this point, I'd been waiting for a year and a few months. This was me. This was a year after I decided I was going to Empire and started making kit and started looking into the wiki. At this point, this player event was.
Gotcha. And had you done LARPing before Empire, or was this like your first step into it?
I had played a home game a few years prior, but nothing. No, basically no.
A home game? Sorry.
I played so my friends. I went to a birthday party once, and then they were like, "Hey, we're LARPing tomorrow. Do you want to stay over and do some LARPing?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'll stop. Sure." And yeah, it was good fun. But I never really knew how to get more into it. But then and then when I was at uni, so 2 years ago, a group of us decided a group of us that had like sort of playing D&D online. A group of us were like, hey, we're gonna get into LARPing.
Oh, fantastic.
And then I think the big group, we decided between 3 different nations. And I think it was Wintermark, Brass Coast, and Dawn. And I sort of looked around and I sort of was like, hey, the Dawn group I kind of, get along with. I know them the most out of everyone. So I was like, yeah, I'll be Dawnish.
Fantastic. So you'd had some experience with sort of role-playing games from D&D side, and would you say that LARP is kind of the next natural step for any prospective D&D player?
Yeah, I think I don't play like online roleplay or tabletop roleplay anymore. I kind of burnt myself out of it on it like a while ago. I think actually LARP kind of murdered my tabletop role playing yeah. And I was like, man, I want to, I want to dress up and swing swords and be the person. I don't want to sit at a table anymore.
Was that
Um,
after did that really kick in after you'd had one event to kind of taste it, or
no,
did it
no,
kick in
not
before?
even that. I mean, to be fair, I burnt myself out on tabletop before I properly got into LARPing.
Gotcha.
But I think the fact that I found LARPing kind of filled that void, and uh, made it a lot cooler. But yeah, I wouldn't really compare. I think they're just different mediums because my tabletop role playing experience is completely different to any LARP role play. Completely different.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially, I guess, what was the right term? Fest LARPs like Empire.
Yeah.
Like with tabletop D and tabletops, those kind of scale of game, you are the hero, and your DM makes sure that that reality kind of comes true. Unless you're playing like The Witcher or something, in which case you lose your arm in the first 30 minutes, Sol. If you're listening, you see. But sorry, not salty at all about that. Not salty at all. But yeah, you turn up at Empire, and you're just someone. You're a civilian on the streets, and you kind of get to make your own fortune, and it's that wonderful element of it's that escapism and building something great rather than I'm already a super powerful warrior or a incredibly powerful wizard. You've got to sit there and scrape your way through the march of mud towards the top.
Yeah, no, I totally like that. Just it's and especially Empire. Empire is just because the scale of it is just massive. And like now, like seeing after E1 like the influences gonna have on the game moving forwards. It's very exciting to see like this world move along with the players and like hearing about decisions the player made and then it move along is just it's so good. So good.
Yeah, especially when I think some of the Winds of Fortune or the Winds of War
Oh
are out
yeah,
now.
2 Winds of War just came out. Yeah.
Yeah, those
That dates for the people that are listening. That dates when we did.
the like just seeing these kind of like you just said the big macro scale changes on the map. All of those have let alone the people who take the field and battle for that outcome, but also all of the off battlefield actions going on. There's probably 100 people behind each of these Winds of War in some moderate to major aspect. You've got generals, of course, with army movements, but they'll have runners. They'll be talking to senators. All of them will have adjutants. And all those other adjutants will have, I guess, brokers behind it. You might have people politically trading for certain favors.
Just their mates.
Yeah, just their friends helping them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy amount of depth. It's you're totally right. It's awesome to have so much freedom, and at the same time that satisfaction. I don't know if you get it, but the satisfaction of when you have an impact on something, anything, even if it's something quite small, you've got the knowledge that you've crafted that from the beginning, and yeah. It's kind of like growing plants, I guess, but far more interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I guess sorry, that was quite a segue. The first question was actually going to be, I've oversimplified this on my notes here, but do you prefer large events like E1 or smaller player events? And you don't have to say yes or no because that is a hard question to answer.
It's I don't think you can prefer one or the other, right? Is that because because I went to a lot of player events, and I've also been to smaller scale LARPs, and small scale LARPs and player events are great in that you get amazing character developing interpersonal roleplay with people. Like Ravadi's closest friends are people that they've been to multiple player events with and had deep and meaningful conversations with.
Mm.
In fact, and like had some really good shorter moments at Anvil, but really to define those relationships further at Anvil. But you don't really, unless you purposely set a lot of time aside to do it, I don't feel like at least I didn't really have time to do that at the last event. But I did with player events. I did. It was all just leading up to the big Anvil events because anything I wanted to do had to wait for it. And towards the end of the player events, it was just being like, I've said this. I've done the same spiel for the past 5 events. Now I need to actually like. Can I please just move it along now?
The plot. I need to turn the page.
Like, can we please turn the page? Exactly. Like you can analyze 2 pages of writing as much as 2 pages of a book as much as you want, but at some point
you got to
shift it along.
Oh yeah.
And fucking Anvil is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. How did it feel walking on? I guess two questions here. The first is, how did it feel walking onto the field, the sort of OC, like, parking up, unpacking your tent and realizing just how big the place was? And then the second is, how did it feel, at 6 o'clock, snap, time in, and like, how did those 2 moments feel?
It's gonna sound weird, but it is something that's shared with a few of us new players that've been online for and talking to people about this for 2 years. I did a walk around site and was like, that's smaller than I expected. I'm not lying.
Nice.
This is a number of us new players had the same sort of, because it was always bigged up to us constantly, like, it takes half an hour to walk around site. And for some people it might, but I absolutely I like being on site with all the tents set up and sort of being like, that's the Marcher, that's Varushka, that's the League, like walking into Navarre Woods, seeing songs and stories, and then walk into the hub, through the Sentinel Gate, just amazing experience. In terms of time in, when time in hit, it was a fairly natural transition for me.
Okay.
I had basically, it was a sort of pausing. As soon as time in, it's like, go, don't stop moving. For me, mainly, because I kind of had I knew what I wanted to get into. This is something that helped me with the player events, is that I knew I'd been able to test the parts of the game I liked, test and put toes in the water of different other parts, and then basically I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I hit the field.
Gotcha.
So when I hit the field, I actually went and bought some information. It had the information that I had predicted, and was like, great, paid for the information, made a copy. So for context, it was the Sarengrave information.
The Sarengrave. Sorry, keep going, but I'll ask you about that in a second.
Yeah. So the Sarengrave information, and then as soon as I got it, went straight back up to the Navarre camp. Standing had already started, so I was like, I'm late, and sort of weasel my way in, and sort of get Brenos' attention because I'd spoken to him at a player event and was like, hey, I've got some information to kind of announce. And then they put me on to they were like, you're next on the list, announce this sort of thing. And then I sort of announced to the nation at the first standing about Sarengrave, which was kind of I've got 2 major highlights of the last event of E1, and it was that time in moment for me.
Okay.
To sort of be like, this is me in the nation. Hi, I am here. But also, for the character perspective, it was basically this information is here now. Navarre and all of Navarre need to know this, which is why it was a standing announcement rather than a council's announcement. So Navarre have so for people listening, they have different councils that you can go to after our main national meeting. But in this decision, as a character, it was like, no, Navarre need to know this information. I don't feel too bad sharing it now because it's on the wiki. but it was the location of the last Vallorn heart.
Ooh.
The location of the last Vallorn heart. And being able to announce that, because it's quite a like heart-wrenching moment for Navarre, at least it was for me, as someone who is heavily involved in the Vallorn research stuff. To be like, we now know where all of the Tyrrell cities were. We have their locations, and this is the last Vallorn heart. That there won't, like, you know, and that was quite cool to be like, this is where it is. This is some basic information on it. Come talk to me about this afterwards if you want. And then that was my event. That kicked off my event, and it was really cool. But I didn't really have like the problem of like getting into character because I'd had a lot of practice at other events.
Yeah, an RP veteran at this point. So with Sarengrave and that final Vallorn heart, so I might be jumping ahead of myself here.
Mm-hmm.
If we hunt that down and kill it off on top of the ones we already know about, are we done? Is it GG Vallorn, you lost, nice try?
No.
Damn.
I'm sorry. Well,
Damn.
you know, we have to you know, you have to get rid of all of them. And the locations of all of them are all on the wiki now.
Yeah, because there's one.
If you know where to look.
There's a deep one in Axos, isn't there?
The Axu have one, and the Thule have one.
Oh, I did not know that actually.
Yeah.
Ah.
So we've got 4. I sort of had to do the mental math. I was like, oh please, Becca, don't mess this up. We've got 4.
Yeah, it just because we've got 5 territories, but only one of them is okay. So we've got the most land out of all of the Imperial nations, but the least control.
Yeah. So there's 4 Vallorn hearts in the Empire has in its general vicinity. There's the one in Sarengrave, there's the one in Axos, and there's the one in Thule territory. There were 8 original. I feel like I should shut up.
No, that's right. I mean, it's on the wiki, right? I mean, half the.
Yeah, I think the locations now are all on the wiki if you know where to look. In terms of other information, you have to come and talk to me and play.
Ooh, tantalizing.
Or talk to my research partner. You know.
Yeah, so I've been dying to ask actually, what got you into the Vallorn? Because are you going for Leadry's? Because we were talking about this at Walk Along This Path. You're going for the position, aren't you? For the advisor on the Vallorn? Is that the right way to say it?
Yes. So the advisor on the Vallorn position is now vacant. Talked about it a lot at Walk Along This Path. I feel like I need to keep that stuff to myself because I talked about it a lot at Walk Along This Path, and Ravadi is very conflicted, not about the position, but about their loyalties to their friend, who is also going for the position.
Shane, this is a podcast. I've got a mischievous smile on my face. On an OC point, what got you interested in, like, I guess to like give an example. So some people turn up to Empire because they enjoy the idea of going to a big battle, or some of them want to be, run a shop or a brewery, and it's an opportunity to do so. Of course, senators want to try out almost like being in real life politics, but without the skullduggery that goes with it. Ish. The real skullduggery that goes with it. What pulled you into the liking for Vallorn? Is it because they're cool ass plant zombies and they're fun to kill?
I honestly stumbled into it in play.
Oh, interesting.
Which was at my first ever player event, an offhanded comment from an Urazeni. Now has just spiraled out of control. Offhanded comment about a synod motion, and a very prevalent synod motion, And then then we went to a player event where we investigated some stuff, and we were like, this complicates matters. And then from then it was sort of Becca OC going through all the historical researches on the wiki, and basically learning as much on the wiki as possible about the Vallorn.
Nice. I'll have to get you to do one of my episodes for me.
Basically, yeah. So then going through the wiki and researching all that stuff OC, and then basically having Ravadi go through like the Castellan libraries, because they were still Dornish at the time.
Gotcha.
And that was kind of because I knew I wanted to move Ravadi from Dawn to Navarre.
I mean, naturally, green is this year's color, so.
True. But IC making that change was basically kind of railroading Ravadi down it, but Ravadi having that realization about the Vallorn and researching it, because you can be interested in the Vallorn from a Dornish perspective, right? But your motivations for doing so kind of shapes who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And Ravadi went to a play event, a Dornish castle party hosted by the Rondels and the Dakotas, and a lot of people there were like talking to Ravadi about it and being like, "Oh, you should request your test of metal," and having that realization in character that I'm not doing this for glory, I think was the line for Ravadi that was like, "Fuck." I am not in the right nation.
Every single noble turns. So was it, like in horror film, their necks spin 90 degrees.
So Ravadi didn't say that out loud.
Oh, phew.
That was the like interior thing that was like, because Ravadi was like flustered and was conflicted, being like, "Fuck, I need to make a really good impression for my house because I'm like wearing their colours. I need to represent them well. I can't make a fool of myself. I can't spread drama about the house, so I have to give a Dornish response." And Ravadi fielded out a Dornish response, but then went and spoke to an Avari about it and was like, "Fuck, I'm not doing this for glory. Why? What is going on?" And having that like conflict was super fun to play out. And then I was meant to go to the Vallorn Symposium, which was after that event.
That was another player event.
And that was meant to be like the final nail in the coffin, where Ravadi got the book, the Vallorn book. It was in February. I didn't go to that event because I got COVID.
Oh no.
I got the book, and I wrote in the book, it has a slot for your name, and I wrote Ravadi, Watcher of House Castellan, and that's like the last time I see that the name got used.
Oh.
Because after that, after reading the book, and because there's a lot in that book about Navarre's history. And that I talked to you about Walk Noah's Path, because that stuff I think is very much Find Out and Play.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, you saw my eyes. I was like, "What? What?"
Yeah. That stuff basically was like, I need to be Navari. And then sort of did a couple of events, sort of like playing out the Egregore change. At this point, I was kind of getting like, "Fuck, please, can we just have an anvil event so I can actually research this stuff?" It was just
quite a
where did this tangent start?
I think I was asking about the. I have no idea.
Basically.
Yeah. So you were presented with quite a profound decision before jumping over to us. Sorry, that's. I guess final question on the Vallorn. How was it to go on a skirmish against them at Anvil?
So, I led my first skirmish that went through the Sentinel Gate.
You did.
Yeah. It was quite. It was great. I think the skirmish went. I mean how the skirmish went. I had a discussions with like the other people, and like had a sort of debrief with the other skirmish captains in the bar and some other people at the skirmish, and the other skirmish captains that were on the skirmish. very happy with how the skirmish went, because especially in comparison to some of the skirmishes that went on at the last summit.
Yep.
I loved it. I had done some skirmishes at like some combat player events, which includes Quiet Glade and Shadow, which were very heavy on the skirmishes. So I was used to like the combat rules and fighting and stuff, and I'd led a few skirmishes prior, and so I was fairly confident with that part. I think going into it was excited. I was very confident in the premise of the skirmish. So it was against a load of Urzeni cultists.
Is it Green Spire?
So it was Green Fountain Spire.
Green Fountain Fire, that was it.
There are a number of Yonagra cultists encouraging the Vallorn into doing shit. And also casting weird rituals and stuff. So I had a lovely time on that skirmish with my bow, one-shotting mages.
Archer's the natural predator of Urizen, I guess.
But it helped with that because I have fairly strong contacts in Urizen with some sentinels in Urizen. So getting the skirmish sorted from the Urzeni perspective. The skirmish itself, I didn't actually get to do too much fighting of Vallorn because I was mainly trying to coordinate people. But yeah, great time. We had dryads, Etacaps.
They're spooky, aren't they?
And husks. Oh, I love the Etacaps. I fought some dryads, and the dryads are spooky. And then lovely husks as well.
It's always it's the white hood and the vines with the little. I guess it's almost like a Draugr mask just on their eyes and the top of their nose, but it's so effective. You know, as a group of them come at you, it's terrifying, especially at night.
Yeah. Oh man. So from an OC perspective, the thing that got me to move to the bar and was people showing me pictures of Vallorn. And it was genuinely, when I was debating leaving Dawn from an OC perspective, it was the pictures of the Vallorn, and I was like, fuck, that shit's scary.
I think is there one on the wiki that there's one thing I noticed we didn't have this event was some of the miasma.
We didn't have any miasma.
Yeah, which is a little bit of a shame because it adds a lot of depth to it, but I guess it makes sense for the geographical areas we were in.
Yeah.
But there's a really good picture on the wiki of this. I think it's one of the dryads, kind of just poking its head around a tree, and there's some gas in the background. It's all. We had because the first time we came across those dryad suits was maybe about a year before COVID, and
oh really? Was it that soon?
They're relatively recent, yeah.
Oh, that's mad.
Yeah, and the Etacaps are even more recent than that. So we had originally it was I'd say just husks in air quotations. There is an Ent costume. I don't know how old that is, but like a proper Lord of the Rings tree person, and just it's quite tall and skinny, and it looks really creepy. And there was one skirmish we went on years ago, and it just strode out of the mist, and we were like our blood ran cold. There's about 15 of us. This was with Blackskull actually, and we're like, nah, we're fucked. And it swings its arms at kind of waist height, and it's got impale and strike down as a standard attack. So it hit me, and I folded like a taco and just dropped. And it just started just stomping its way through our company, and we fled. We all fled. We fled off the skirmish. It's hardcore. Have you seen Drumstick Beetle?
No, I don't think so.
Drumstick Beetle is not giving it the respect it deserves, but it's a beetle that has like a large pair of maces, and it's about like 8 foot tall or so. It's basically like a mega cap, and again, miasma, smoke. It's incredible how close these fuckers can get without noticing them. You're sat there with your spear, and you're like, oh wow, the stick is not pointy enough for that thing, as it comes in and starts bonking people, and they just drop. But yeah, the dryads are pretty good. The first time that was my point. The first time I fought against them, whoever was crewing them did a fantastic job because they did kind of throaty banshee scream or wail,
Yeah.
just from hiding in the woods, and this was like a dusk skirmish, and we were all getting really creeped out. It was a scary stuff.
Yeah, I wanna. Yeah, I definitely. I needed. I was a bit sad that I was too busy running around at the last event to get on any more skirmishes. Because I wanted to throw myself on some of those night skirmishes.
Mm.
But I mean, Friday night I was busy in the hub, and Saturday night I was busy on trial. So
Busy doing something in the hub with the militia, not illegal.
not illegal, yes. Obviously, the rest of it's fun and play.
I happened to be near the Portaloos, and I was holding a knife, but nothing else happened. And what was I going to ask? It was for all the skirmishes. That was it. How tough they were. I've got to say, from this was your first time in Anvil. Like skirmishes are usually a bit tougher than the main sort of Saturday and Sunday battles,
Yeah,
but
they
the Vallorn skirmishes were tough. This event, I don't think a single one succeeded.
I think so. One of them was a complete success. Mine was a partial success.
Oh, nice! I had no idea. Fantastic.
The other two I heard were a bit not kind of like very overwhelmed very quickly. From what I've heard about from the other two. And yeah, coming back from because mine was the last of the Vallorn skirmishes, and so I was just hearing about everything that was going on with those, and I was like, damn, I need to be on my game. And I think yeah, I was really happy with what happened on ours. It could have happened better, but obviously that's between me and the other skirmish captains, where we exchanged feedback and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, it's sort of. I guess I see your and also OC as well. You're concerned as people come through and like, oh, that's really tough. That's really tough. It kind of demoralizes you. But maybe on an OC side, did that make you excited? Of like, oh, this is going to be crunchy, or was it the opposite?
Totally. No, it was. Oh, I think at the time I was mainly concerned in trying to make sure that mine went well, rather than I was excited for a good scrap, but again, most of my concern on the skirmish was keeping track of everyone, trying to position people and generally coordinate, and then in my downtime just one shot some majors.
360 no scope jumping off a log.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I would have loved to have grabbed a spear and gone up and poked some Etacaps. But is what it is.
Yeah, and the tactical weight of knocking out some of the mages is, I'd argue, greater than the Etacaps. Yeah, we had there was something similar that kicked off a few years ago, a few years pre-COVID. I was quite new at this point. There was I think this is when there was an undead army walking around in Dawn in Fever Water. So these the Windhusks. Yeah, them.
In the Woodwater, yeah, because that's kind of part of my character's backstory. It's a bit weird.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, we we got on a few of those. There was 3 skirmishes at night. This was like the autumn equinox. It was starting to actually get dark in the evening because there weren't any night skirmishes last event. These are the ones I was talking about ages ago. You don't worry, you didn't miss out. But the Fever Water skirmishes started off with the Brass Coast going in with a party of 20 because Anvil was a lot quieter back then. Relatively 20 freeborn went in and so 15 came out screaming, terrified and otherwise rattled, and losing 5 people on the skirmish was a lot. And then the local Dornish party was like, gosh, well, right, we're going to go in and batter these fucking whites is what we were fighting. So they all got tooled up in their armor and brought a bunch of priests with them. About 4 of them come back out, just again screaming, terrified, lamenting their houses, and we were sat there as the 3rd group to go in, all Navarre, and we were staring like OC. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I see, we are shitting ourselves. We're sat there with our our light tunics on and our knives, and we're like, oh, we're so dead. And we went through the gate and literally made a defensive wall on the other side of it. We didn't go into the woods. We heard some howling and some screeching. Our commander was like, nah. We came back through. So to our shame, we might have run from a fight, but I guess to go back to the point on like the Vallorn spooking you out and seeing other skirmishers and other groups get absolutely wrecked. It's it's very fun, but at the same time it really has a heavy impact on how your character behaves as well. And that kind of it's is fun fear the right way to describe it? Because you're not actually afraid because it's LARPing, right? But your
Oh,
character
okay.
is very much afraid, and you get that adrenaline spike.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bit sad that I can't if I go on a night if Ravadi goes on a night skirmish, they're kind of a bit useless. I don't have any weapon skills other than marksman, so night skirmish wise, it's not the best. Um, I need to get because I did it at Walk Noise Path. I just borrowed an Old Man's Edge off of my off of our Thornborn, and then was like spearing it up. And
Mm.
man, I love using a spear. Like I do, I really do. And I sort of like learned to fight it a bit like a few months ago, and then was like, man, why don't I use a spear? And I'm like, oh yeah, because I invested so much into archery.
I mean, it is no, I'm going to incriminate myself if I say that, but I know exactly what you mean with marksmanship being a particularly useful skill.
It's useful, yeah, except when it's nighttime.
Yeah, like, it's just I understand it for like a. Oh, sorry. So for listeners, OC, PD don't allow you to use bows and crossbows on night skirmishes because there's
Safety.
yeah,
Yeah,
safety.
it's totally right. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
yeah,
and same when it rains as well. I think they cut it.
yeah, because the arrows get soaked,
Yeah,
become very like heavy. Makes sense.
yeah, being
But
hit with
no,
a wet
like
sponge.
yeah, it's but I mean it's yeah. I really wanted to find myself on a night skirmish at Anvil, but yeah, I was in the evenings was a bit all over the place, especially like when I like heard some of them coming back on the Saturday night skirmishes. The
Oh,
drama of those.
which ones were those?
Druge, exorcism, a lot of the stuff. So wraiths.
Oh yes, yep.
Did you hear about the people coming through the gate and then attacking everyone?
I heard little. I literally heard it secondhand in a Marcher pub. But tell
Oh
me
yeah,
more.
yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
more.
Well, so a lot of my OC. So actually, for context, a lot of Ravadi's icy friends as well were on that skirmish,
Nice.
and then so it was the drama of well, so Ravadi didn't see it, but heard about it later. The drama of seeing them come through the gate and seeing Ravadi's old Earl, so Earl Baldwin, and seeing Iago, the person who gave Ravadi their first Liao dream, and saw the threat of the Vallorn,
Mhm.
and just basically like having because they basically came through the gate and thought everyone else was their enemies, and so they were coming through and attacking as if they were enemies. And I think Iago particularly actually got out the gate and then all the way out to Wintermark before he got stopped. And I think he was kind of getting close on the timer of the curse, where he almost would have become a wraith himself and then started turning other people.
Oh my. That
Like
sounds. That sounds. So there was I guess like a trail of corpses in their wake as they.
kind of
Oh.
but they because it was happening at the same time as the Day of the Dead, the Highborn Day of the Dead.
Oh no. Oh yes, of course. The Oh, we again. I missed it. The That's the torch procession, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I feel like
yeah.
that's awesome. So they basically waltzed into a sensitive cultural event and started swinging.
Oh, you bet there. They came out the gate and then started swinging because they were all like possessed, cursed, sort of stuff.
I've got a strong like Danny DeVito, so I started blasting, kind of just just badly superimposed on the anvil gate, walking out, but with like a pair of crossbows and.
But also they weren't exactly because obviously they were coming back on a night skirmish as well. They weren't exactly they weren't exactly like weak characters either. Like I think because Vito was there, and Vito's like a bajillion point character because he's an E1 character, with his massive shield and spear,
Is that
played by Johnny.
the Kohan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yes, that is a
And
scary,
then
scary, scary prospect.
and then Max, who plays old Baldwin, he's an awesome battle mage. And then they had their own like physic and like so like Emma plays Thea was there like sort of like I love Thea, but Thea's been through so much. Like, oh. Just yeah, and like that, like, and this is all people that Ravadi knows. Obviously, Vito and Ravadi. It's complicated.
Oh wow, what a word. That's something I will approach you. I see. Like, so I've heard of rumors.
Yeah, but just I want to go on like I went on night skirmishes at player events, like on Sit Quiet Glade, you know.
Mhm.
Oh god, night skirmishes are just so cool.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then
So cool, so dangerous.
so cool, so dangerous. It's so easy to lose people. It's
Yep.
like, but man, so good, so good.
Um, Beyond the Vallorn centric questions, and I guess you mentioned earlier there was two like highlights of the event. The first was timing in, and like
Yeah.
boom, I'm here. Let's rock and roll. What was the second point?
Oh, it was my it was the clemency plea that Huel gave
Was this during
for Ravadi.
the thing that shall not be named, involving?
So it was so Huel did a fucking incredible clemency plea. And I'm honestly highlight like already yeah the highlight of my event was his speech in Ravadi's trial and Ravadi and Adathan's trial. And oh man, it was just so good. I I I can't really go into it for too much for too much icy detail, but basically, so Huel used to be the Cardinal of the Way. Well, so my trial got rescheduled so many times because I had a clemency plea priest lined up the evening it happened, and then the clemency priest, for OC reasons, was not around at the
Fair
time of
enough.
the trial, and so we had to find another one quickly. Huel was around, and we got Huel, and then yeah. So I tried to have my trial at midday on Saturday. It ended up happening at 8, I think 8:30 on the
Oof,
Saturday.
damn.
It got rescheduled. Sorry, it got rescheduled to 6:30, which is an hour after my skirmish going out. So basically, I was like, right, I'll set up a skirmish and then come back after the skirmish to go to my trial, and then ended up waiting at the hub for 2 hours while the trial happened.
Oh wow, gosh.
Yeah.
Did they say to you like, oh, come back later, or was it?
Well, no, because I was there at 6:30, and my clemency priest, we sort of waited for like half an hour. Yeah, it was OC reasons why I couldn't be there, but
Gotcha.
which is totally fine. But yeah, I was waiting outside the hub for 2 hours. But to be fair, 1 hour of that was sanctuary and getting Huel up to speed. Because Huel wasn't sure if he was gonna offer us clemency pleas, so we basically had to tell him our side and then convince him.
Was it one of those pieces of RP where it is like a hero speech from Lord of the Rings or something? It's inspiring, and you stare at wonder at that person's character. You're like, wow, that's really good.
No, yeah, totally. It was like I was listening to it and I was like, fuck, that's so good. That speech. And it was like I had this like awe, and I was like, man, that is a like fucking great feels, because it was like, because the whole time obviously Ravadi was like trying to convince people that they were doing it for the right reasons. Ravadi has lost friends over the whole matter and is very upset about the whole thing. But basically, and the Navarre in them is basically actions have consequences, and these are the consequences. Is if my former friends don't like me now because of my actions, that's the consequences, and I have to accept that, and I do accept that. The whole time with the whole thing, it was basically is that I know is from a Riley's perspective. Riley's like, I know this is the virtuous thing. I can't believe what I believe and not act, and I know that there is no alternative way. I basically had all the boxes ticked for a clemency plea, and basically was ready. I was like, I can't not act, and I will accept the consequences of what happened. And in this case, a number of friends, dear friends from player events that Ravadi has, now are like, screw you, absolutely, just never talk to me again.
Gosh, because I won't spill any of the beans, but from what I understand of this event, I think Ravadi was in the right, but maybe my character being on your side is a red flag rather than a green one.
I think whether Ravadi's in the right is definitely an IC thing to hit. Depending on whose story you heard, kind of depends on because they're gonna but depending on whose story you heard, will shape your IC opinion on what happened.
After we finish recording, I'll tell you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll see how close I am.
But basically, it's having that sort of like Ravadi being like, I'll accept the consequences of my actions, even if that's execution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ravadi knows that what they, in their mind, from their interpretations of the virtue they follow, that it was virtuous, and if the consequences of that, they'll accept it. Which I think, which actually goes down a exemplar that Navarre as a nation hold in very high esteem, and it's the exemplar that Huel chose to talk about and name when giving the clemency plea. And having that moment, because Huel was like, I'd never mention this exemplar when people do this. This is the first time I've ever used that exemplar in a clemency plea, but you convinced me that I should.
Is it a certain exemplar that might also be cropping up for another reason?
It might, yes. It might certainly be another exemplar, yeah. Ravadi's got 2 exemplars they hold in high esteem, and they try to follow an example of. And that's one of them. And the other one is fairly obvious, given the virtue they follow, but yeah.
Scratching my chin here, like, damn, I need to pay more attention. Awesome. And you know that trial's all over now. That's you're scot free. You're
Well, free. Yeah, had our fine.
Fantastic.
Look, all I'm saying is the difference in our fines.
The Anvil legal system is there's no polite word for it.
Genuinely, I'm pretty sure the only reason that our fine was so high is because it was fairly fresh after you did your thing. And our fine was another group of Navari doing stuff, right? So I feel like that's the reason our fine was kind of a bit, you know.
It's like, hey, I've seen your lot in here already today. Don't you be coming back in. What have you done now?
What have you done now?
Right, no more slaps on the wrist.
But I think what your charge was assault would have been.
So
because our charge was attempted murder, which I think is probably why the differential was what it was.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't actually trying to murder them, that's another thing is the militia. I feel like I'm talking about this too much. But this is the other thing is the militia tried to get us to rephrase our account of the crime, and when we gave when Ravadi was like, no, I'm not taking the lesser charge. I fully attempted to murder them.
So I'm imagining you saying that, eyes steeled into theirs, like I wanted to kill them.
That's basic. To be fair, yeah. No, I wanted to kill them, was basically what Ravadi said.
Hardcore. And the militia officer's like, wow, damn.
Double down, don't back down, okay?
Yeah, the way I guess.
When it comes to virtuous action, okay? I want to disclaim this.
I guess for people listening in who don't know about the way the legal system works at Anvil, they are inquisitorial. So what happens is they go off and find evidence until they think they know what happened. Now they could totally fudge this and spend 5 minutes listening to gossip in a tavern, or spend 4 hours interrogating people, and often it's somewhere in the middle. You don't get to defend yourself unless you plead guilty. So with both of us and our various, I don't want to say criminal because we're not criminals, we're virtuous citizens, but our difficulties.
We are both convicted criminals.
Damn it. Okay, us hardened criminals.
Oh, shut up.
we had to admit we were guilty before we could use a clemency plea, which is when a priest comes in and argues that our actions were virtuous and that we should be given a lesser sentence. And the mechanic behind this is to make sure that trials are really quick but very dramatic. So, you walk into a trial, the first 10, maybe even 5 minutes, is a listing of crimes and dubious evidence to say that you did it, totally putting your character in the shit. And then your clemency priest comes in and saves the day with an impassioned and rousing speech. And it's very exciting to be part of. But that's when we're talking about our pleas and being found guilty. What they'll do is ask you just to plead guilty, and then you can rely on your clemency priest. But it sounds like it kind of didn't go down the way they wanted it to in this scenario. Because they try and tell you to admit a lesser charge, and then they give you a way to wiggle off.
Yeah.
Usually. Ish.
Yeah.
So
no, the militia though did a fucking incredible job. They don't really have to do in terms of they didn't exactly have to try and find us because it happened and then Ravadi handed themselves in. So it was it didn't really they didn't have to come and find out who did it. It was basically a case of gathering all the witness statements. But they did a fucking amazing job. I'm so thankful to them for it.
Were the witness statements accurate, or accurate enough? Because we had some hilarious ones for mine.
The witness statements were some conflicting stuff, but that is again, that's all IC stuff. But yeah.
Fantastic, yeah. Without going, I won't go into. There's another episode on this around my one, but the one I can't get over is the description of 3 black and hooded cloaked assailants running off together, and I'm like, who made that up?
I heard about what went down.
Yeah,
I questioned about it basically instantly after it happened. I was like, what?
What, you got questioned?
You're in the Navarii Archer. What do you know? And I'm like, huh.
Can you imagine that? What's our suspect? A Navarian archer. That narrows it down. Great.
Yeah,
I guess my not final question, but final handful were actually going to be around your costume and design. Those of you listening in, you might have heard me say already that Ravadi's got some fucking awesome kit. And you've actually decided to start taking a few commissions. You've got plenty on your plate at the moment, which is super awesome. They all look fantastic. I was going to ask you, how did you get into, sewing, leather work, that kind of design, and that kind of creative process?
So, before I got into Larp, I had no experience sewing. I basically decided that I basically, like everyone, I was like, hey, I've watched some YouTube videos on this. I can do this, right? Right? And decided to save some money by making myself some Larp kit. Because I've been looking around and I was like, oh, the stuff that I want to wear for this is when I was going to be in Dawn, and I was like, oh, the stuff I want to wear is I'm looking at online. And I'm like, oh, that's
it's hundreds of pounds for
40. That's like 60 quid for a plain white dress.
Oof.
Oh, I could make that for materials for 20 quid. Yeah, let's go. And then and I did so. First project I made when I was testing out the sewing machine, because I borrowed a sewing machine.
Oh, nice.
Off of a family friend, and which actually they then later gifted to me, and is now my sewing machine.
Oh, fantastic!
And I've been using that for 2 years now. So that sewing machine, I made a tabard. Was our first thing, and then made a cloak, like a lined circle cloak, and then I made my Dornish coat, which actually was fully hand sewn. because the material would not go through the sewing machine.
Oh God. Oh. Oh. Ouch. Okay. Oh.
Oh,
Yikes.
hilariously, I sewed some scissors into it, like into the between the lining and the coat fabric. That was quite funny.
Now just to cut the thread. Wait.
I got the scissors out. I just, I was like, I finished the project. And I was like, where are my scissors? And I picked up the coat. And the coat was a bit heavy, and I was like, wait a second.
What?
Yeah. And then the coat. Then I made some dresses. So I made an underdress out of some cotton. And I decided I was stupid enough to then work with some velvet.
Oh.
Which even worse, it was stretch velvet. Oh, that was the worst option. Basically, I was like, velvet, cheap, yay! It's not crushed velvet. So I was like, it was just stretch, not crushed velvet, because crushed velvet looks a bit in my mind. So I was like, right, I'll get some not crushed velvet, and like trying to sew it, like trying to sew that velvet was I was like, what have I done? It made an alright looking dress. Like the dress, shiny velvet looks lovely. But, it was the worst idea imaginable. And then some things happened, but I didn't start designing some Navarre kit. I think I'm trying to think. Oh, and then I sort of started taking some commissions. So I made a cloak for someone, like just another half circle cloak, because cloaks are quite simple.
Oh, nice. When you say half circle, is like it won't go around the front of them?
No, so it goes basically on the shoulders. It doesn't go fully round them, but it depends on how you cut it, how big the neckline is that you cut, really. But in this case, it goes over their shoulders, and then we'll pin across the front, across their chest.
Gotcha. With that one, there's like classics or like Celtic, like.
It's a very classic cloak.
Gotcha.
It's a very simple pattern as well, so very easy for people to do. Recommend it as a starting project. And then started making my Navarre stuff. I decided to make better decisions with, using all natural fabrics, linen, cotton, wool, mostly linen and wool.
Okay.
Great fabrics to work with. I made the questionable decision to start my Navarre coat, which I decided to hand embroider all of it. Completed that coat a year after I started it, because I'm doing this alongside uni work as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because that coat took 100 hours of hand embroidery.
Oh my goodness me! Oof. Oh. Did you
96 was the time? Was that?
Gosh. Did you I guess your fingers kind of have like little 6-packs on them after that. I've only done a bit of sewing for like pouches and seams, like for leather work. But doing that for a couple of hours, your hands like cramping by the end. So 100.
Yeah. I'm very happy with how the coat turned out. But I've made all of my Navarre stuff, and then now I've done a couple pieces of commission work. Something I finished just before E1 was a lovely Suak coat. That project was quite a long one because I found it was quite a complex project for me to take on, and I probably took it on a bit too sooner than I should have. But I got it finished and learned a lot of learning experiences from it, and now it looks really good. That took a lot of the designing. A lot of that was the designing the painting work to go on that coat.
Oh, for like the Wintermark runes?
So I can send you a picture of the Suak coat if you want.
Okay, I'll audio describe it to everyone else.
It's quite a complex bit of kit. In the pattern is not that bad because it's basically just I think the difference with that one was trying to do something purely off of someone's measurements for the first time. Because a circle cloak you can kind of get away with it, but a coat is purely off of someone's measurements.
Oh, so is this like across the shoulders and like how?
No, this is a coat. This is a full coat.
Oh my goodness! So that's fantastic.
So it's suede.
Wow.
It's a suede coat, and then fully lined with fur. because the person who asked it off me is a madman, and I did try and convince him out of it. But it's basically, it's got, so down the arms it's got a sort of like kind of tapestry. I took inspirations from sort of Inuit artwork, which is one of the inspirations for Suak Brief, for like
Oh yeah,
like
it looks.
to tell the character story, and then interface and then a lot of runes and animal imagery.
And which rune is that on the elbow? So it's the one with the dag or the curve, and then a little star in the
so
center.
they have I can't remember exactly what runes they are, but they're all day runes because he's a day mage.
Ah, fantastic.
And the ones that are the most prominent are the ones that the character feels most inclined to.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a wonderful coat. You know, like you said, it just screams Suak. You know, the second it popped up, yeah, no doubt, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of the projects I'm most proud of, because I took it on fairly early, and so it was quite difficult as an early project commission, an early commission that I did.
Oh, the antlers on the back as well. Oh wow.
But
And
now
the rabbit. It's mint. Oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I bet he was happy.
yeah, he was. But now I'm sort of taking on more commissions. I've done a bit of work for project I finished last week was a lovely Varushkin tunic, which I'm super happy with. Used some amazing fabric for that. So my boyfriend plays in Varushka, and so he's been helping a lot with the Varushkin brief.
That's where I recognise him. Yeah, because I recognised him a little bit at What the Longest Path, because he was crewing, wasn't he?
He was crewing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I've seen you somewhere.
Yeah, he had a very silly time crewing. Walked Along As Fast was a great event.
Oh yeah, like it. I've still got part 2 of that, I guess, dissection to do with my striding, but yeah, that was really top quality event. Again, can't see the smile on my face, but that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great event. But now in terms of designing kit, I think I've just basically just been trying to teach myself. I 100% only did it when I started to save money on Larp kit. And I still do now, is that I like look at Larp kit and I'm like, I can make that. And now it's sort of getting more into where can I push the boundaries of my skills. So I've got some plans to work on some quite nice Navari layers for myself, because it's coming into summer and I need some layers that are nice, because I won't be able to wear my coat and my cloak, because those are like the key. Those are my nice bits of kit for my kit. And I won't be able to wear them in summer, so I need to have some nice layers, underlayers, for my kit now.
Oh yeah,
so
get that. Get the.
Where can I? I kind of want to. So my next bits of what I want to work on for my kit is separate from commissions, is working on textual work. So I want to have some braided fabric. I want to have some like smocking. So to like work off of like Navarre Hearth magic with braiding. I want to kind of do textual work to make it look like there are actual vines like on my clothes instead of just like embroidered ones. So there's a technique you can do with like actual like twisting fabric and hand sewing it down onto clothes, which I'm hoping will look quite nice.
Oh yeah, I've forgotten the name of it, but there's a League magazine that does the fashion of
the Looking Glass.
That's it, the Looking Glass. Yeah. See some of your entries appearing in that, maybe being a trendsetter, I guess, for the Navari summer fashion.
I don't know. I think there's actually someone was talking online about doing a Navarre fashion show.
Ooh.
A Navarre specific fashion show. I don't think Ravadi's really in for a chance, because Ravadi knows of some very, very good Navarre kit out there. But we can just have some nice kit. To be honest.
Get out on the.
I just want to have some nice kit.
Yeah, get out on the, like I said, the catwalk, the trod walk, I guess, and show it off.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's. I would. Yeah, that'd be really fun. That'd be a really interesting event to see, because your kit's great. I got my tunics all commissioned years ago, and I love it to pieces.
Yeah,
And
it's great.
oh, thanks. There's loads of people with some really cool kit, and especially if
Mm.
there's a chance to like show it off, you get to see it all in one place. That'd be awesome.
I mean, my bane is that I don't have an embroidery machine. At one point, if I get enough money, I want to send some money at Rosemary and get Rosemary to chuck some of my stuff under an embroidery machine and because
Yeah, she did my tunic. Yeah, it's
oh
the
yeah.
yeah, it's the I haven't got the skill set to describe it, but would you? Is there anything else you would need beyond that point? You reckon, or at that point would you be like at pinnacle sewing?
Well, I'll have an embroidery machine.
Yeah,
Oh. No, there's a load of like sewing is a like and sewing and making your own kit is kind of a whole wheelhouse. It goes very far into the rabbit hole. Because there's you can go down into like weaving and stuff.
is this with the with looms?
Yeah, so you can like
Ooh,
weave your own fabric in certain patterns. You can weave. You can just do tablet weaving, so make your own trim with patterns in it. Like I want to go more into yeah. My next step is like to do like textual work and like smocking. Um, I think my challenge next is someone wants to commission me to make them a doublet. And for those people to know sewing, that is quite the challenge. Um, I'm still debating taking that up because I'm not sure how well I'll be able to do it. But I think I probably will because that is quite something to
is
do a doublet.
is that the same as an arming doublet?
Not necessarily. I'm more a leaguish. I'm thinking about a leaguish, very fancy doublet. Puff
Gotcha.
sleeves, slashes, a lot of velvet, bright colours. Oh no, not necessarily bright colours, depending on which city you're from. I've looked too much into this now. But like, I think the doublet bit, I think the puff sleeves and the making it very fitted, kind of, that is something that to make something to fit something to someone when they only give you a few numbers is quite intimidating.
Mm.
So we'll see how it goes, really.
Nice. So I've just as we've been going through, I've been googling some of these terms, and
Yeah.
yeah, no way in hell I can make that.
Yeah.
Like that is a bit more than a tebed.
Yeah, it's a bit more. Yeah.
Fantastic. My final question for you, a little bit generic, so I do apologise in advance. But despite the impact you've had on the game so far and the player events you've been to, I would class you as a new player to Anvil. Having done an event now, do you have any key pieces of advice you would give to new players who were thinking of trying it out?
Oh, I think the bit the bit of advice that you probably hear like over and over again is I certainly heard over and over again, in that the bits that I've had the most fun with, at least, is picking some strong opinions and just going for it. I think the advice was just generally just go for it, throw yourself into it. I've had a fucking whale of a time throwing myself into everything. You're not going to be able to keep up with everything, so picking something that you love and just going hard is great fun. It's absolutely great fun. Yeah, like I said, I started out with just a few concepts of like I knew I wanted to be interested in Vallorn, and I picked like vigilance as a virtue to be interested in, and both of them have led me down some like wild adventures. It's been amazing.
Fantastic. That's a really good one. The one I hear most often is stay hydrated.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, that as soon as
Yeah.
the temperature
Yeah,
peaks
that's
20
the
degrees,
responsible one to say.
oh, it's just endless. But it is
Oh, yeah.
worth repeating. But
Oh no, yeah.
yeah, hail hydration is a call I've heard many times.
Go
But
for
that's
it.
that's awesome.
Go for it, but you know, I think the one thing I was upset about that I didn't do at Anvil is that I had to keep going back to my tent to like fill up my water bottle that I was carrying around with me. but I had my tankard on with me, you know, and I had coins in my pocket. Why the fuck wasn't I going to like a bar or like an ICT house? That's what I wanted to do, you know. I was like, why the hell wasn't I just going and buying drinks off people? You buffoon.
Oh, so having like like a tankard strap and your own
Oh
mug to
yeah.
go around. Oh, it's so cool. This I wish IRL like just walking into a pub with your own tankard and asking the bartender to just to fill it up. It's awesome. It's your
Oh, it's
tankard.
great.
Yeah.
It's so convenient. So
Yeah.
convenient.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
And
Funny. Tankard. Need a tankard.
yeah, and I guess you've done a fantastic job of this as well. When I've chatted to some new people, I think a lot of people get very tempted by the armor and the weaponry, but the way to have a good time is to stay warm and dry, and for that, focus on like you've got with your underlayers and the like. If you've got a couple of different tunics like you've sewn together or you've bought or you've got from a charity shop, that kind of thing, um, staying having a few things to change into and just being comfortable is the big win. And
Yeah.
then when you throw yourself into something, you get into a nice and spicy debate with someone in the hub, or you're being hounded through the streets of Anvil by the militia for said opinion. Uh, yeah, doing it nice and quick.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Ravadi, thank you so much. I don't have a very good IC voice, but thank you so much for taking the time. It's been absolutely fascinating to find out, I guess, not everything about you, but some of the OG origin story, the some vague allusions to what you're going to be getting up to next time, and I've certainly got a few questions to follow up with at E2, only a couple of weeks
Yeah.
away now, right?
Yeah. It's only 3 weeks.
Is it 3? No.
No, it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks tomorrow.
Yes.
I hate it.
I love it and I hate it.
I love it. I hate it. Oh. If I didn't have Walk Along His Path, I would have been very upset.
Mm.
Walk Along His Path was just great for just hang out.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Right, well, dear listeners, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for sticking with us through this wild and adventurous tale. If again you would like to be regaled, I don't know, listen to the podcast or something. I ran out of rhymes. See you all next time.